This is exactly what I recommend you do after overeating coming from a registered dietitian. First of all, I want you to understand that overeating happens and it is completely okay. Even me, like I am a registered dietitian and some people think that I should have this like ultimate control and willpower around food, but even I will overeat at meals sometimes. The truth is that food tastes really damn good and it is normal to sometimes eat past fullness. It's just a very human nature thing to do. We don't eat just because we're hungry, right? We also eat because we have this whole psychological component to food that we have to consider. It can be really easy to think that there's something wrong with you and that you just have no willpower. It can be really easy to just shame yourself after overeating. And I want to help you through this to prevent that from happening, because it is this guilt and this shame that actually causes you to spiral after overeating. And this spiral of going the next day and overeating and losing control again and just saying like, F it, I'm gonna start my diet in a couple months, or I'm gonna start it next year, having this whole conversation contributing to the spiral. It's this chaoticness around food that causes the real damage. It's what causes yo-yo dieting. And it's this phenomenon of trying to be really good with food and trying to restrict and starting this diet and starting this way of eating, being really good for a couple of weeks, only to then completely backfire and you go into a spiral again for a few weeks. So once you understand that how you respond to the overeating matters more than the overeating itself, you can finally break the cycle. So what you don't want to do after either a day of overeating or a meal of overeating is you don't want to restrict the next day and try to eat as little calories as possible. Maybe you try to fast the next day. Maybe you try to compensate and you're going to try to burn as many calories as possible. That is what you don't want to do. And the reason is because this over restriction and this overcompensation of food is what leads to overeating in the first place. So the only way to break the cycle of overeating is to get back to a consistent, balanced eating routine. And chances are, if you do have an unhealthy relationship with food and you've only been trying to diet and trying to restrict yourself, this may be a foreign concept of eating consistent, balanced meals. And this is what I call the foundation of having a healthy relationship with food and building a physique that you enjoy and that you feel proud of and that you feel confident showing up in. So I have tons of videos of what this balanced way of eating looks like and how to set up your habits for success. But the other half of overcoming overeating is managing your mind. Did you know that your actions are a result of what you think and feel? So if you think, oh my God, I totally blew it. I overate. I can't believe I ate that much. I'm gonna gain all of this weight. If that is the thought going through your mind, you're gonna feel defeated, right? You're not going to have positive feelings, that's for sure. You're gonna feel defeated. And that feeling of defeat is either going to make you try to restrict the next day. It's going to try to make you compensate with exercise, or that defeat is going to make you spiral again because you're like, oh my gosh, what's the point? Let me just keep overeating. So either way, that thought led to negative feelings and those negative feelings led to unfavorable results. Versus if you think, I know overeating happens. I also know that scientifically, I can't just gain pounds of fat from one day of eating, one meal of eating. Like that's not how it works. I know that scientifically. And I also know that I'm much better off by just getting back on track with my next meal. This way of thinking and these thoughts in your mind make you feel at peace. They make you feel confident knowing that like, it's okay, it's all right to overeat, and I know that I know what to do next. So these thoughts and feelings are then going to result in you being able to eat a balanced, consistent eating routine the next day, having balanced meals, having balanced snacks, honoring your hunger and fullness. These are mindful eating skills that I teach my clients, and working out to respect your body. This is very, very powerful stuff. If you can control the thoughts in your mind, you have control over your life. So these are the 5 mindsets you need to practice after you overeat. Number 1 is really thinking about the big picture, and it's thinking that, okay, this was just one meal out of thousands in a lifetime, right? What you do most of the time matters so much more than what you do sometimes. And thinking this way can help you move on peacefully. Number 2 is you would have to eat 3,500 calories over your maintenance calories in order to gain 1 pound of fat. So let's say your maintenance calories is 2,000, which is probably most for a majority of people, around 2,000. You would have to eat over 5,000 calories to gain a single pound of fat. And chances are you did not eat that in a single day. You did not eat that in a single meal. Number 3, overeating can actually be a sign that you need to work on your relationship with food, and you need to include more of the food you're overeating, not restrict it. Mentally restricting food is what causes us to feel out of control around it. So what I practice with my clients is this idea of having permission to eat, and also understanding how all foods can fit into your life, and having those mindsets actually make you feel normal around food. For example, like sugar, if you feel like you're always out of control around the sweets, working to normalize that food and including more of it into your life can actually help you overeat it less and finally normalize it. So often we think we need to restrict the foods that we feel out of control around, when really we need to work on our mindset and relationship with that food. Number 4 is understanding that when you eat extra carbs, those carbohydrates turn into glycogen, which is the store form of carbohydrate that is stored in our muscles. And that's actually a really positive thing, especially if you're active, and especially if you are doing a training program and you're working on getting stronger, because then you can have the mindset of, dang, like yes, I overate, but that also means that I'm going to have so much fuel the next day. I'm probably going to have a really good workout. So that's a really positive shift that is helpful, especially if you have always had the mindset of, oh my gosh, I need to burn off all of this food. It's reversing that and saying like, no, like having this fuel in my muscles is such a good thing. Having carbs readily accessible for my muscles is going to make me feel amazing, and I'm going to feel so much stronger. Number 5 is don't miss twice. Make your next meal count. It can be really helpful to have positive rules in place. So it's one thing to say, okay, I have to get back on track the next day, and have a negative twist to it where you're like, I'm trying to restrict, and that is my version of like getting back on track. But when you switch it to a positive rule of, hey, like I know that eating balanced, eating consistent, prioritizing protein, fiber, healthy fats, moving my body in a way that respects it, those are the things that help me feel my best. And I want to feel my best so that I can show up in life and do all the amazing things that I love to do. So having that mindset is what is going to fuel your motivation to make your next meal count. Like it helps to put into perspective, hey, like overeating and spiraling does not make me feel good. I'm tired, like I feel guilty, I feel bloated, I have no energy. That does not feel good. So having this mindset of, okay, like let's just not miss twice, right? We had our fun. It's okay to overeat, but I also know that eating balanced and eating in this way that makes me feel good is how I want to live. Like that is what makes me feel best, and that is what makes me feel my most energetic self and my best self. So let's get back to that. So those are the 5 mindsets that I recommend you practice after overeating. If you need help with this and you want one-on-one support, definitely apply to my program below. I would love to talk it out with you and see if you're a good fit for me, I'm a good fit for you, and just have a good conversation. If you have any questions or you thought this was helpful, definitely let me know in the comments, and I will see you on the next one.